Hello, hello, YouTube. Let's get started. Let's make sure I've got a nice setup for everybody to come on YouTube and Instagram. I think we're okay on Instagram as far as yeah. Okay, we're in business. Welcome, welcome, clutter-free family to the Clarity Hotline. Okay, we're talking all questions. Ask me anything today. I definitely want to get some engagement going. So I got both chats, Instagram and YouTube up. Feel free to, yeah, just listen in. We do have some questions. I'm finally getting around to all the money questions that I've been asked recently, and I'm picking kind of the ones that encapsulate kind of all of them. So yeah, ask me any questions. Feel free to just listen. The ones that we can kick things off with are about money, but if you have any other questions, don't feel like they're off limits. Okay, so just some housekeeping there. Yeah, let me pull up the other questions so that you can hear what those are, and maybe that might help you find what you might want to ask. Okay, so the questions are: why is everything about money? Why can't I manifest more money? How do I manifest the life of my dreams? Now, those are to me money questions, or at least they stem from the context given from Pam when she asked that question was around money. I'm just going to narrow in on the part where she asks the actual question, which is how to manifest the life of my dreams, because some of her question had the context around being let me make sure I'm thinking of Pam's question. Actually, now I'm mixing it up with another question. Oh no. Okay, so the other one came around. The context was around. So I'll say this. Some of the context around these questions are people who are kind of experiencing debt, maybe not in. Oh, and that's right. Pam was saying something about a job that she wants to get and make more money and kind of like level up in that way. Um, so I think I'm going to pile this one into our money conversation. I think it would make a lot of sense. So let's do it. But let's have our big breath in first. Big breath in, big breath out, big breath in, big breath out. And something I did just on Tuesday. Keep going. In, out, through the nose, out through the nose, however. Something I did on Tuesday, on a call on Tuesday, was, just moving the shoulders as you're breathing and kind of putting the oxygen where there might be tension. So sending the oxygen right where you're feeling the tension, maybe the knot in your stomach, or just feeling uneasy, any anxiety. Your body's actually manifesting it as a certain type of sensation. So wherever you feel kind of that clinging and that tightening and that gripping, breathe your breath into it, right? So take your oxygen in and send it there. And then it's almost like it's oxygenating, right? You're inviting in space. And then once you've sent it there, you can exhale. Right? Almost like you've allowed in space, and with that space, with that opening of that tension, right? Whatever was tense and holding and felt problematic gets to open up, invite in space, and then out with the exhale, it just kind of sends it away. So if you can imagine that happening, right? It's kind of like this inhalation and this exhalation of letting it all out, letting the tension out. And then notice how spacious that makes you feel. And in that space, you can expand. In the space of no more clinging and hoarding, you are able to expand, right? If you're not hoarding items and stacking them up in your home and just uh, just cluttering your life, then you notice there's room to move in your home. You can walk around and nothing's like in your way. You're not bumping into boxes, or you're not, having to move piles of books and papers off of your couch in order to sit down. Like, it definitely speaks of a different life scenario, right? When you make space and you remove the clutter. So yeah, absolutely. Immediately you're going to feel that relief when you declutter, but notice that that also opened up um, your mind, right? First, it was a decision though to declutter. First, it's a decision to one, not hoard, not cling, not hold on to things, too many things, right? It was a decision to not buy everything in the store. It was a decision to start to move things out of your home and donate it and downsize and get rid of it. That was a decision, right? And so, as a result of that decision, yes, the body moves into action. And so, belief begets behavior. So, the behavior is that you're actively ridding your life of things that no longer serve you, things you don't need, right? And that in a sense are kind of a waste of your energy and time. And so when you get them out of your space, you get them out of your purview, you remove them from taking up psychological attention, right? And so that's why after we declutter, we feel so good. And people think that first you declutter and then the mind is freed, when it's the other way around. The mind had decided to get free, and then the body behaved accordingly. And it's in this same idea of the way that works, right? Belief behavior, that we get ourselves so wrapped up in all the stuff we have to do, right? We pile on our plate and we believe we have to get it all done. And so immediately we're, in overwhelm. And then we're acting tired and burnt out because we're in overwhelm mentally, right? Uh, Okay, so we've got a question in. Where can we find a one-stop resource for those who don't have time to follow tips on IG and YouTube? Is there like one helpful resource you recommend? Uh, okay, interesting. So maybe tell me more. What kind of resource are you thinking of? Decluttering, or yeah, tell me what you need. We can get into that. Uh, but anyway, let's make sure that we're also breathing, right? Let's make sure we're breathing and just kind of being mindful of our breath. There's so much here to unpack when it comes to answering just, I guess, these questions here that came in, and then any questions. I've got to move screens, make sure that I don't miss any YouTube chat too. But no, feel free to, like, yeah, say things. Don't think that I'm gonna think everything's a question. I know that you guys are just chiming in. Uh, Scheduling for cleaning and decluttering, where to start? Hey, welcome, welcome. Come on in. Ask me anything. Okay, so scheduling for cleaning and decluttering and where to start. So, hmm. Well, let's see. So I do actually have like a declutter your home PDF download. But I wouldn't necessarily send you to that as if that is going to be the end all. Whenever I do like a home visit, let's say, and I'm helping somebody declutter their space, we always start with a session, right? A clarity session. We move through first, like, kind of your beliefs around what you have in your space, how you want the space to feel, and then out from that, just even that inquiry comes so much in it that's in the way. So much of, like, how we're living, what's not working, what's not serving us, maybe how our home feels dysfunctional, let's say, relationships, whoever's in your home, roommates, kids, are they pulling their weight, so to speak? All of that starts to come out. And I always say, like, I can walk into a space and immediately know kind of where you're cluttered inside of yourself, because what we are manifesting outside is always, like, first internal. So our internal state of being, state of mind, shows up in our external state of mind, right? Before it's environmental, it's first mental. And so I can always kind of see, and don't think, like, don't think I'm judging any of it. This very much comes from, like, a judge free place. It's in a it's my work to help you find your freedom, to set yourself free. So if there is any limitation, lack, and clutter in your life that you notice and identify as your clutter, I'm not going to tell you what your clutter is. I'm not going to go around and be like, oh, you shouldn't have that, throw that out. That's not my place. If, in fact, if anybody perceives clutter, it's their problem, right? Nobody in the household who doesn't see that as a problem is going to find the reason to clean it up, right? If they don't see it as a problem. So then there comes like the indoctrination that we like to give our family, the rest of our family, kids, especially as they're coming up, kind of, well, this is a mess. Let's clean it up. And this is how you clean it up. This is how you wipe up a, spilled milk. This is how you vacuum the room. This is how you pick up your toys. And here's where to put them. So this is us indoctrinating kind of this idea of cleanliness and orderliness so that it doesn't all fall on our shoulders as the parent to clean up the whole house. Because as you'll notice, I mean, that just never ends. And if that was always our job, then there would really never be the space or the time or the energy freed up to do anything else. And so, yeah, quickly, very quickly, parents can get burnt out and feel like, oh, this is such a struggle, to raise kids. And because there's so much communication involved, right? You want to, and I use the word indoctrination because I want us to just recognize, yes, it's a level of manipulation, not in a bad way, but it is, right? So just recognize that, us pushing our thoughts and ideas and concepts onto our kids is, a form of brainwashing them, right? And we have the best of intentions, I'm sure. Like, we're well intentioned. We want to make sure that they're well off and they live successfully in the world. We're giving them a helping hand in that way so that they're not just off figuring it out on their own. We definitely want to set them up with kind of the foundational basics to live a great life. And if one day they're in a roommate situation in college, then, they're not going to be the one everybody wants to kick out. That feels good, right? That they're not going to be the problem roommate. They're going to be like somebody anybody would want to live with. So see how we're kind of like when we project our ideals onto a situation and we kind of follow it through, we see that, will this work or not? How I'm talking to them today, is it going to stimulate the self-talk and the behaviors that will one day result in them getting by in this world in a really successful, amazing, happy, healthy way? That was a long-winded way of getting to that question. So if you have any more questions when it comes to like scheduling for cleaning and decluttering, where to start, I would just probably point you to my website, declutterist.com. But also, I'm not necessarily doing home visits. So I know a lot of accounts that are, professional organizers. This is not my field. I love professional organization, but there's so much deeper to the clutter. It's not just organizing and making it beautiful. Like, I'm a minimalist, right? At heart, I like to not necessarily bring a lot into my world without it having a proper space in a home, and because I know it's going to take up space in my life. And if it's going to zap my energy, then I definitely don't want it around. If I feel like it's a burden, even as I think about owning it, like, where's it going to go? What am I going to do? How's it going to look? Then it's already kind of tasking me with more to do, more to work through. So I'm definitely a slow curator of my belongings, my possessions. I like to sit on things, at least 24 hours before I purchase, especially in my business, because, and even longer actually in my business, because I'm not the shiny object person. I don't, go after the shiny objects and buy it just because, oh, so and so is using it and it works for them. I'm very meticulous and a stickler for, um, my vision is this, and I want to make sure everything I do is propelling me toward that particular vision and goal. I don't want anything to distract me. And if I am distracted and I do feel like, oh, well, let me take a little bit of a tangent here and explore this idea, then I know that I'm doing that, right? I'm fully aware that I'm doing that, and I'm going down this path of just, oh, let me just see what it's all about. And then I come back to my vision, my goal, the path that I'm on, and see if what I learned could apply. But I'm not going to spend endless hours and amounts of time on something that is probably a distraction from my goal, right? But I do love to educate myself on other things, and but what I'd also recommend is getting on a call with me. We can talk about it a little bit more. That's actually what would probably serve you best. If you don't have time to, yeah, watch a ton of YouTube videos or just scroll Instagram for all the tips, I would say get on a call with me and let's talk. So I'll put the link um, below so that you can book a call. And this is the way that we can at least see, where you are, where you want to go, what do you feel is blocking you, what's in your way, and we can find the solution. That's what I would definitely recommend. Okay, so let me know if you have any follow up questions on that. Okay, so should we just go into the questions? Which one should we answer first? I think Blair's question of why is everything about money feels like it's coming from a place of, yeah, noticing that without money, how restrictive and restricted life feels. Kenya's question, why can't I manifest more money? And she went on to say, I'm in debt and I feel like it will never end. The bills keep piling high and it just feels like it will never end. Um, and then Pam asks, how do I manifest the life of my dreams? So let's start with why is everything about money? I think that money tends to be kind of, it makes you feel like it's the ultimate equalizer. Like if I have money, then I'm able to um, come on the same plane as the decision makers in the world, because it took money to get to the presidency, right? It takes money to campaign yourself there. It takes money to stay in the president's seat, right? To make the decisions, you have to find the funds, right? The legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch all need money to run, and those are our checks and balances here in the United States. And then there's some version of that in every other country, because the effort is, well, democratic society, because if a society is recognized as somewhat of a democracy, then there is this idea of checks and balances and the people speaking and having a voice, having a say. But then ultimately, there are still the decision makers at the top who, will steer the ship in one way or the other, according to what you vote, according to what you think the people believe and request, or not. So I think money it's almost like this seismic shift, right? If we think of the world and earthquakes, everything's shifting uh, slowly or fast, right? A big earthquake shifts the land a lot. And then little tremors shift it a little bit. And so a little bit at a time, but eventually it's kind of like, oh man, you're not my neighbor anymore, because, the earth is shifted so much. Or uh, like you see cracks in your foundation, right? And over time, if you live in a house long enough, then you probably see like the earth shifting and cracks in the concrete, um, and what it might do to the street, right? And this is through time, I mean, lifetimes, right? That we might see things start to just really move. I heard it said like erosion on a coastline happens slowly and then all at once. It's kind of like the shoreline, the coastline will start to erode, and then eventually there's not anything really holding up what was eroded from below, and it just drops off. And so that idea of like eroding, it's like, whoa, you almost can't fathom. what was there no longer being there because it fell into the ocean. This is all just to say that I think money is just a powerful signifier of maybe uh, the work you've done in your life, especially if it's not inherited money, but money you've earned on your own, like rags to riches, like you went from the bottom, now you're up. This is uh, a telltale sign of you having to battle maybe demons, you having to battle haters, moving through the cringe of it all, right? Climbing the mountain. uh, there is a lot of work, right? Personal development that had to be done, dying to the ego that had to be done. If you're too self-conscious, it's sometimes you probably won't ever work your way up into in the corporate ladder toward the C-suite, right? Sometimes you got to start in the mailroom, like movies might say, like those old movies in the 80s. It's like you start in the mailroom and you work your way up, and then you see those movies and they pretty much collapse, years of working your way up in the corporate ladder and, narrow it down into like a 30-minute montage of this person working in the mailroom and becoming, the next VP. Uh, but yeah, I think money is just as a nice representation of the work that we get to do in the world to manifest our ultimate desires. So money affords us all these opportunities and access into various rooms and access into it's the currency that gives us access to the things we want to buy. And uh, without it, it feels like you are without, right? You don't have as much of a say. You are just a little peon or even a pawn in someone else's game. Like it doesn't feel like you are owning anything, right? I guess there's kind of like this idea of ownership involved. Um, and I think actually that's really spot on. I think money there's almost like this sense of ownership. When you have money, you do feel like you're owning your life, like you're taking your life by the horns and you are riding it to exactly where you want to be. So there's ownership of your decisions, ownership of maybe the work you want to do in the world. If how you envision yourself making money is through your career, right? And the work you do, the offers that you put out, um, the hours you put in, right? Your labor that you get paid for, right? How you earn your money. Well, these are all just subject to our belief system. So we are, if we believe that we are just subject to someone else's decisions to promote us, then we'll always feel like we're beholden to them, right? We've got to people please our way to the top versus taking ownership for your life and saying, no, this is my life. This is my reality to create. So I'm going to create my life. And so you know, you do what you believe it takes to make your first $100 million. You do what it takes to um, live the life of your dreams. So if we're answering Pam's question, how do I manifest the life of my dreams? I mean, and then even Kenya's question, why can't I manifest more money? We already are manifesting every single day. So we're manifesting every single day of our lives. And the way we can tell what we're manifesting, just look around. Look around. There are clues to what you're believing, right? And any cluttered thinking that you're stuck in how your life looks right now. So if you feel like, um, I'm longing for a different life, I'm living as if it will never happen, um, then, or you're feeling like the dream is out there and not accessible, then you are a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're basically saying, well, it's out there, it's never going to be, mine. You're separate from your dream. You're putting distance, you're putting disbelief between you and the dream fulfilled. Therefore, you aren't attracting it, right? So it's definitely a requirement to be a vibrational match for that which you want. And so, what's the vibration in your future, right? When you see yourself having the house, the cars, um, what do you want? The investment bank accounts, right? Um, the dream career, the fame, the fortune. When you see yourself having that, what did it take to get there? And however you see the path to get there basically underlines your beliefs. So my belief, let's say, is that, yeah, I have to work hard to get there. Because I know that my mentor in my career worked really hard and worked his way up to VP or president of the company or CEO. My mentor had to hop around, go from company to company until she was finally like CEO of a job, or she started her own business. Then I might take that behavior, what they did, and I might try to model my behavior around it. And I think that's what we definitely feel like after college. I did. I mean, I had mentors who kind of told me uh, the lay of the land, as far as I was into marketing. So I went into the marketing world. So I was on the client side of marketing, and then I went to the agency side. So advertising, um, product placement, media placement. What else did I do? Ad campaigns, um, all of that, right? So on the agency side. So basically, the people who execute all the clients' ideas. So I was on both sides. So I got to see kind of how the whole machine works. And um, I had plenty of mentors along the way in that journey that told me, you have to start here and work your way up. I knew quickly that I was not great as an employee. Like I definitely wasn't in my element. It wasn't my vibe to be in a cubicle, and so that was my struggle, was to kind of stay in that type of career. So I knew I was an entrepreneur early on. Like I knew that that was just the trajectory for me. I want to be my own boss, own my own business, run things my way, and not have to work that corporate ladder, like climb this ladder of belief that had me just kind of working for the man, and being uh I guess like promotable, but on someone else's standard. Oh, Pamela, I miss you too. Oh, oh my gosh. Pamela reminds me of my Brazil days. And oh my gosh, I just miss you so much. I'd love to, I don't scroll much, but I'd love to see your face. I miss you too. Oh, life is so much different than when I was down there. I have 2 boys now. But yeah, that actually brings me to something Pamela reminds me of, being in Brazil and kind of like how I found my way, because I had left the corporate world. I'd literally quit my job. And I was like, I'm going to Brazil. I thought I was going to just South America. I thought I was going to like see Argentina and do all the things in South America, but I ended up staying in Brazil. I loved it so much. In fact, I really longed to go back. So yeah, I was just traveling all around in Brazil and never made it out of the country until I came back home. But in that time, I was kind of on this soul searching mission, to find myself. And I did, like, I really woke up to my own dreams, like my own idea of how I was going to manifest my dream life, really, to stay on this topic, how I was going to manifest my dream life, what it was going to look like. And it really did start with like my career and my my goals in life, like how I was going to chart a new course for what I wanted. And it wasn't going to look like anything necessarily that mentors taught me before. I had to kind of like find my own way. And so, yeah, I mean, when you make your own way, it's trial and error. A lot of times it feels like that. It feels like, yeah, it feels like, yeah, I, it's not working. Why can't I manifest more money? The debt is compounding and it doesn't feel like it will ever end. It feels like that because, especially when you're not in pursuit of that vision, you're not in living on purpose, and you maybe stray from feeling really confident on your own path, pioneering your own way. If you're not really feeling confident in that, then yeah, it's gonna seem like, oh, this is taking forever. But imagine if you stayed confident on that path for yourself, it will happen no matter what. If you stay in your lane and you believe without a shadow of a doubt that, oh yeah, I can make this happen. I can have, the house, the car, the fortune, the fame, whatever we talked about, do your own journaling around what you want in your life, because nobody's path will look the same. Even if you guys are going in the same direction, right? Maybe towards something that looks similar to someone else, there's always nuance. There's always something different. Like maybe this person wants 3 kids, this person wants one. That subtle difference is enough to change the complete trajectory, right? And then the same with getting mentorship and guidance from somebody who's telling you, well, it work this way, and then they have no kids, right? I personally know that as a mother, my business totally shifted, totally changed once I became a mother. It looks totally different than when it started. And I was just a single something, working my business, traveling in Brazil, had my laptop and working from wherever I was, coffee shop or a room I rented. And even on a bus, like, working as I traveled, being portable, that was my dream, to be location independent, running my business. And so that extended into, being back home and still being location independent and, still running my business. And then it started to feel like, oh, I want to get more settled down. I want a family and this kind of thing. And then that started to take shape, right? It's not that I never knew that I wanted a family. I always knew that I wanted a family. So it just started to be like, okay, as I'm starting to check off, okay, this is working, this is working, this is working, things start to become more available, right? And feel more accessible. Yeah. When the money's coming and flowing, it feels great. It feels like, oh yeah, I could do anything. Okay, what do I do next? And when you feel like, okay, I got this on lock, then I can move to the next thing, right? So I think that was the ladder of belief I was climbing. I was climbing like, okay, these are my signs that I'm ready for more. All right. I got this down and now I could do this. As the kids get older, now I can do more, right? Um, that's kind of how it ended up being. And when I look back, I'm like, man, it always worked out. I always get what I want, right? And even I always get what I want. I really do believe that. And where it feels like maybe I don't get what I want, like maybe I'm still like finding the perfect piece to my puzzle, is just where I haven't spent the time getting super crystal clear. And that's what I would say to you with this question. There are clues in our lives right now that speak to how we believe, what we believe is possible for us. If we believe that we are co creators with God, that what we put out there in terms of a desire, right? A wish, a dream, a hope, a prayer, that God is already at work on making it happen for us and putting in the pieces to let you walk the yellow brick road all the way there. It's kind of like the yellow brick road is appearing and starting to become assembled as you get more clear on, okay, well, this is what's next. This is what I want next. Um, and so, yeah, he's just kind of laying the bricks for us so that we can just walk effortlessly and smoothly to what's next for us. It's when we don't know, right, and we're scattered in our intention. We're not really sure. We're confused. We're cluttered. We're weighed down by a lot of limiting beliefs, that we aren't seeing the yellow brick road. We aren't seeing the forest through the trees. We are just lost. And if you find yourself there, then do some journaling around what would feel better than this, right? What would feel amazing right now if life started to look this particular way? What would feel beautiful and lovely and like you were on top of the world and life was perfect? What would feel that way if things were to change? So I imagine, right? Well, I'd be out of debt, right? So how would that feel? Right? Because if everything is a vibration in our world and manifestation hinges on um, a vibration, it hinges on our dominant vibration, what we're sending out into the world, because like attracts like. And so a lot of times, without context, manifestation just seems like, oh, it's just positive thinking and saying affirmations over and over again, but without feeling into that reality as though it's already done, right? And so it is. As though it's already done, then you're missing the most important piece. The most potent piece of manifestation is believing it's already done. Once you launch a rocket of desire, you know for certain that it will land, that it will land, that it will be your reality. In no time, right? The time that it takes to get there is just us closing the gap of belief, closing the gap of, where what we believe now is our reality and what we believe to be like our ultimate reality. So imagine if you lived from a place where you were already walking and living in your ultimate reality right now, living in the wish fulfilled, as Neville Goddard says, an amazing manifestation teacher and author. That anything you read, you'll be inspired. But he says, act in the wish fulfilled. So behave in the way that it's already your wish is already granted. Um, and if you did that and you created the muscle of doing that, then it really would feel like a genie, right? Rubbing a lamp and the genie coming out and saying this, and it happens like that. I think that is so far fetched, right, in the imagination that anything would happen that quickly, that miracles could occur that immediately, that we lost faith. And so, in the gap, right, of that faith and fear, we insert our limitations. We insert all the reasons it's not working, all the reasons it won't ever happen for us. And then we're in doubt. We're no longer trusting ourselves. We're no longer moving forward with the volition of confidence, faith, um, and clarity, right? We're stuck in fear. We're no longer, moving forward knowing that God is creating this reality with me, right? All I did was say that I want it and it's mine. Uh, however much, however much you put inside that time from desire to destination, whatever you fill in that gap with will determine if things happen quickly or there's a delay. And it's not that we want to get hung up on time, because the illusion of time is that we're all subject to like this clock that's going to run out, and we want things to happen while we're still young, and we don't want it to take forever, because you know we don't want to experience our ultimate riches when we're old and gray. Only we want to live it now. Like, for instance, as a mom, you want to provide your kids all the opportunities now, right? Time is precious. They're only in your home for so long before they are going off to do their own thing and live a life of their own, and buy their own toys and cars and homes, and living and making their own families and stuff like that. So it's only a matter of time. We feel kind of like this time crunch of like fitting it all in, all the parenting necessary, when really we're parenting for their whole lives as long as we're alive, right? And we're always going to be their parent. They're always going to be our child. Not that we have to treat them like children forever, but don't ever lose sight of that they still need you as a parent, right? They still need you in the way that they would always need you whenever they call home, right? Need you for support, need you as an ear to listen, need you for guidance. Maybe, yeah, sometimes need you for provision. They need money to help them with, whatever they're doing, co-signing on a house, whatever, thing, it just never ends, right? But we feel like, yeah, we're in a bit of a time crunch, that if things don't happen fast enough, then we're losing out. We're missing out. And what is only true about that is our steadfastness on our belief in our goal. How steadfast can we believe that our goal is already met, right? That our dreams are already fulfilled. Um, and it's just a matter of like it arriving in my 3D physical plane, right? It before my eyes. And it could come any way. If I'm focused too much on how it will come, then I'm back climbing the corporate ladder of somebody promoting me because they think I'm promotable, versus making my own way and promoting myself. Not to say you have to leave that job, but just in terms of like vibration and energy, you could be doing a side gig that makes you feel like you're, pursuing that purpose and passion. If you don't feel like that in your 9 to 5, some people will start, a side biz and start to work on that and creatively express themselves through that and earn money that way. And then that feels like, well, then one day this will take over my job. I'll make more in this side biz and enough to quit my day job. Uh, and the people who do kind of burn the boats and say, I am going to go all out on my business and give it my all, are still thinking uh, as though they're an employee, right? I've got to give my time. I'm quitting because I'm giving my time to this job, or no, sorry, this dream, or this business of mine. And if they're just replacing their hours with time working in the business like that, then it's still an employee mindset, right? And if you're of the employee mindset, then you're always waiting for someone else to promote you. You're always waiting for someone else to give you time off, right? Instead of saying, well, this is when I want my time off. I'm putting this in my calendar as my vacation, and everybody has to work around it. And then when it comes to like having a home and a house and kids and things like that, then you really want your business to serve you living your life, right? Being your I guess the best version of yourself as a parent, right? For whatever that looks like in your mind's eye, when you close your eyes and you think of yourself as the the ultimate parent, right? The parent you want to be. Uh, Everything really revolves around that, right? It's supporting that. Well, imagine building a business that gives you that time to be the parent that you want to be. And then as your kids start to grow up and need you less, then it's time for whatever else you want to do, all your other pursuits and ambitions start to fill in that time. But notice how that's a different perspective. That's a perspective of I'm still creating my time and how I want to use it. So I'm living my life, creating my everyday the way I want to live it, and it's nobody else telling me how to live my life. So it's very much business built on my terms. So yeah, I think there's definitely a way to hold the faith, believe through all the things that feel like they could mean that your dream is not going to happen. So if you thought that the debt you have is in the way of you having, you know, your, what did you say? Manifesting more money. Well, so that you can always tell in the question where somebody's coming from. And if they're coming from, lack, limitation, scarcity thinking, then things like this, I'm still in debt and it doesn't feel like it will ever end. There is definitely like I'm burdened with something holding me down, right? I mean, you can physically feel what she might be feeling. I'm still in debt. It doesn't feel like we'll ever end. Why can't I manifest more money? Is that to get out of debt? Like, do you want to manifest more money to get out of debt? Because it's not like when you have more money, you won't ever be in debt again. If you buy a house, if you don't buy it in cash, you're in debt again. If you buy a car, if you don't buy it in cash, you're in debt again. If you don't pay in full for everything in cash because you're that liquid, then, but even then, people who are very liquid will still, use other people's money, other people's capital to build their empires. Uh, Debt is not all bad, right? It's our perception of it, right? How it's making us feel, how it's making us um, feel held back from the things that we want. So debt is in the way of, it's precluding me from, it's preventing me from having what I want because it's debt I have to pay off, which means everything I'm earning has to go toward that debt and paying that off. And meanwhile, I still have to live. So the bills are piling still. And it's kind of like, when is it ever going to end? Right. This game, this rat race, right? Of like, I'm working or I'm living to work or I'm working. It's kind of like you're living for the weekends because finally you're off on the weekends. And so you're just working, grinding just to have like a couple days off, to finally like maybe attend to all the other things that you can't do during the week. There's a hamster wheel uh, of emotion in that, you know. Yeah, I'm living to work, or what is that? I'm working to live. I don't know actually what the cliche is, but what the saying is. But you do feel like all you do is work in order to earn some level of freedom or time off. It's kind of like I have to work so many hours, in a corporate job, or in any job really. I would say primarily you start and you have to earn your PTO. You don't come with some PTO. You get sick time really at start of employment, but you typically have to earn your vacation time, right? With so many hours put in. So maybe you don't earn any vacation time until 90 days probationary period is over. And then you start earning, for every 8 hours, you earn an hour of PTO or something like that. Or 40 hours, you earn an hour of PTO. So it's like sometimes you are in jobs like that where you have to earn your time off. And so if that is kind of the cycle that you're in, that cycle of belief, then yeah, you're going to feel like, oh, I have to work to earn my way out of this rat race. But that mentality is keeping you in the rat race because you didn't remove yourself from the belief that I have to work in order to gain and earn. And then what is work to you? How do you define work? Maybe for me, work is me living on purpose, me exuding the energy that would maybe help someone else find the possibility within themselves to live as equally free, right? If I can live and walk in freedom and then I'm helping you do the same, then I'm living in my purpose. And that is my work, right? I love to inspire other people to go after their dreams, right? Their biggest dreams come true. I love to make it easy, the path to creating your dream life. I love to make simple that which seems complicated because what we're coming from is kind of this capitalistic competitive environment where it's, dog eat dog, rules and regulations that will have you thinking that in order to get somewhere you have to move through the mud here, you have to compete, and the only the strongest win, right? Well, that competition, that level of competition and cutthroat environment would have you kind of stuck in that belief of having to live that way. So if I can inspire people that it doesn't take that, and in fact, I've lived that way, and I'm more free now than ever before, and I'm not living that way as before. Um, like I was saying, feel like I've come a long way out from the rat race. And it's all in keeping my faith that, you know, my success is guaranteed. My success is guaranteed because I've planned it that way. I've set the desire for it to be guaranteed. I'm acting right now today as though I am successful. And so what you put after the words I am is your truth, is your reality. Like I am what? Your job? Oh, what do we hear, at networking events or speed dating? What do you do? Right? It's kind of the quick go-to question just to get cut to the chase. Because what people want to know is what are you doing for money? So yeah, it does feel like things are revolving around money. It's like, what do you do, and how is it paying you to live your life? How is it affording you all the things that bring you to this moment right now where you are? Everybody wants to know that, right? Well, the more faith I have in myself, the more trust I have in myself, the more I'm riding the wave of good fortune. I'm in the flow of uh, enough and abundance, right? I've tapped into the frequency of abundance over scarcity, right? I don't live in that place where I'm thinking small or I think as though I have to work hard to get there or be successful. And so the more I operate here and all the success I can show you or tell you is possible for you just by my example, then I'm giving you permission to try it out yourself, to have faith in yourself, to believe in yourself, to trust yourself so much through the thick and thin, through the doubt, through the debt, through the discouraging words other people might say about you or to your face, that you still can have what it is that you want. That it was never about them. It was always about you. It was always about you and your dominant belief about yourself and your ability to get there. And that is faith. That is faith that God is behind you, backing you every step of the way. That once I pray something, God hears it immediately and it's done, right? Um, and you know, God says, I am that, or I am that I am. I look at that as I am whatever I say I am, right? Uh, and not for you to tell me what I am, but I am what I believe I am. I am it all, right? And I'm with you during the days of doubt, during the days of despair, when you're down and out. I'm with you, right? So God is still there with us. It's not like He's abandoned us because He's way up here. He's still with us and He's still co-creating with us. And if we're manifesting more of down and out, then He's still with us, right? He still loves us. He's still shining a light for us to see our way out. And then as we continue to see our way out of the hole, the mess, then we continue to see more light, right? It's like once you're out of the hole and you see the light, you're like, oh my gosh, this was here all along. Well, I was down in that hole all this time, and this up here was for the taking. Like I didn't know that, right? But if you already believe that, um, that you're out of the hole, that all this is for the taking, that you can create your own reality, that God has so much in store for you. If only you believe, then you won't fall back in the hole, right? You'll just be given more to see, right? The land will be just expanded from there, because yeah, God is everywhere. God is all, and God is the goodness that flows. And so when we tap into that God vibration, right, that frequency of the divine, then we are manifesting greater, right, and bigger and better, right? It feels better to be there than to be down here. So yeah, I would say that in order to manifest more money, to manifest your dream life, in a nutshell, we need to be a vibrational match for that which we want. We need to live as though we're already realizing our dream, right? We're already living our dream. And what is I guess the connecting piece is, in your dream scenario, are you living on purpose? Are you living free from burden and fear? Are you living abundantly? Like, there's plenty to go around, and I don't have to compete with so and so because this is my life. And my life is going to always look different from theirs, and I'm not concerned with how they are. In fact, I just send them love, and if they've got it all, then I know it's possible for me, right? And so my perspective on who else is doing what becomes lighter and leaner and clearer, and not as much of a burden, as though it's my problem to fix, as though because I don't have my life looking like theirs, it's my problem to fix that. um, when in reality, just seeing them propel and prosper gives me more assurance that it's possible for me. And so, if anything, I love seeing, like, I don't know, the riches of other people. I love seeing that what they've called into their lives. I love seeing that um, they were fearless enough to bring about that reality. And so I may not want to get in the weeds of some of the, let's say a celebrity is really inspiring. The way they live is, it feels effortless and free, and they've got all the money in the world and the house of their dream. Oprah, let's say Oprah, so who to me seems like the epitome of free, the epitome of creating her own reality, living in a beautiful house wherever she is, all their many homes around the world. And that to me is like, oh, lovely, right? It's a breath of fresh air. I see that and I'm like, oh yeah, anything's possible. Anything's possible for me. And my offspring, right? My lineage, my legacy that I'm building, that I leave behind, because what I am able to accomplish in this life, I just make easier for the next generation to accomplish in theirs. So it's almost like we are shepherding the people behind us and showing them the way, just by living full out, living our most fearless lives, our uh, living our ultimate dream, right? So if you can get in on believing in yourself today, that you can have what you want right now, right here, with all that you are, all that you have. If even that, right, is enough, then you're well on your way. And I look at it as this, um, that would mean that you are clear on the fact that any belief that would take you away from having faith in your ultimate vision is a distraction, is a lie. And then you just refocus yourself on the vision, right? I see debt over here, but my vision is this, and I am free of the burden of debt. Maybe I still use debt for my creations and going about my ultimate business endeavors. I use debt in just the right way. And then meanwhile, like, my revenue compounds and I'm building this empire, right? And so all these things. So you can kind of start to walk your way through how maybe debt is serving you. Maybe um, debt got you your college degree. And so now it's just a matter of still believing that what you are going to do now as a means of exchange for income and revenue, that, oh, yeah, I'll pay that off easily. There's plenty. And I can pay it off at my pace, right? So that just lightens it, because we know, like, some of that school debt we can, defer it if need be. If we're in hardship, we can defer it. But the problem with kind of believing you're in hardship is, do you stay there in that kind of lack mentality, like I'm in this hardship? Because from that place, you just manifest more hardship. But if you are, just managing your money in a way that there's plenty, right, and money flows to you with ease, there's this idea that, oh yeah, I'm going to be okay. Yeah, it's all good. And I spent that money because I wanted this, and now that I have it, like it's exactly what I came for. This is what I wanted. I wanted to learn that. I wanted to get that degree. And so this is what I wanted. And so this everything's still fleshing out perfectly as planned. And so I'm in that gratitude, right? That sense of gratitude. And I look at the debt as just, oh yeah, it was just a stepping stone, right? I'm still moving forward. When we keep our focus on that, there's so much freedom there that we get to create the rest of our lives. So keeping with that freedom, keeping with that energy of faith, riding the wave of good fortune, focusing on your goal is going to be what sets you free, and ensures that what you're manifesting is um, a life of your dreams, right? One of possibility and prosperity, not lack and limitation. Because if we're coming from lack and limitation, we're just getting more of the same. We're manifesting more of the feeling of lack and limitation. Whereas when we're coming from gratitude and abundance, and God is here at the ready for me to help me make my dreams come true, that's more freeing, right? From that place, and I can manifest like more abundance and have like a really amazing life. So I hope that helped. I love visualization for this very reason, because when you see it in your mind's eye, you can achieve it, because what you see, you can believe, right? So if I can see it and I can draw it in my mind's eye, and I'm putting all the bells and whistles on my dream, and buttoning it up with all the nice you know, adornments, right? I'm adorning it just right. All my vision, my house, my home, my career, my family, right? We're all happy, healthy, whole. Like I'm seeing all that, right? It's fully fleshed out. I'm walking through that life in my vision. I'm seeing myself live that out. Then, then I know it's possible, because I've just cleared up any confusion that it's not, because I saw myself walk through it. So I love teaching visualization for that very reason. I just have to see myself there, and I rid all myself of all the fear that it won't happen, because I saw it. I planted the seed in my mind that will now help me create the opportunities, see the open doors, walk through the right uh you know doors, and into the rooms that are going to get me seated by the people that continue to just help propel my future forward, right? Because it is connective, right? It's a connective tissue. We're feeding off of each other, this in this collective. And so, as what is it? The tide, a tide rises all boats. So as I rise, everybody around me rises. I see people rising who want to manifest themselves as rising. And so I'm drawing them to my inner circle. Um, and I'm seeing more of that, right? It's more evidence that we're all rising together. So just notice, what you're around, what your environment is, how you see the world. Notice that, and then you'll recognize how you might be creating from that exact frame of mind. That exact state of being is getting you to feel more of the same. So, all right, I'm going to go over to YouTube for our after hours. This is where I end on Instagram and I go to YouTube and we talk a little bit more, maybe answer a little bit more questions. But thanks for coming on live. Thanks for being with me. That closes us out. Just to kind of circle back to the question that came up about, what's the easiest way, I would say definitely get on a call with me. So I'll put the link here so you can just click on that. It's the way to get on a call with me. And yeah, have the rest be made clear, right? How we can work together. All right, we're out. See you next week, 12 noon Pacific, for the next Clarity Hotline. Submit your question at clarityhotline.com, and I'll see you next week. Peace. All right, YouTube. Something I wanted to share that I couldn't get into on Instagram was because we are locked in at the hour on Instagram for the purposes of our Clarity Hotline. Here we have a little bit more time because that's what I decided. I wanted to illustrate something that will help you keep your faith, keep your focus on the ultimate vision. Okay. So it's like in yoga. So if I'm teaching a class in yoga, a lot of times I'll talk about drishti, and that's your gaze, your focus, like what you're looking at, and what you're looking at really does affect where your head goes, right? Where your spine goes, and it's really the extension to your whole alignment where your gaze is. And that's not because you're over here doing this with your eyes, and because even that does pull your whole alignment off, right? Like I turn that way. But if we keep our gaze straight ahead and our eyes are open, so our gaze is straight ahead, then our whole alignment can result from there. So it's kind of like gaze in and see, meaning from the gaze inward, our alignment starts to form. And so you'll notice that, your gaze is up to the sky, and you'll see that there's a nice curve in your neck when you do that, but you're not straining, right? So you kind of like maybe, so I'll say to a class, your gaze is in the corner of the room, not in the ceiling, because that'll throw your neck out of whack. But if I'm gazing just softly, at the corner or at the horizon, then that puts the rest of my body, my neck down, my spine, my hips, kind of all in support of that gaze. Well, if you notice in any balancing posture, let's take tree for instance, you're in tree pose, your gaze is on something steady, right? So that you don't fall out of balance. You'll notice that in the beginning of your yoga practice, your gaze is on something steady so that you can steady the body, and the whole the pose stays in integrity. You stay in tree pose, you don't fall out of tree pose, right? And it started with gazing on something that is steady. Now, when you shift your gaze to something else, you lose your balance, you fall out of tree pose. Um, well, the challenge there is just to keep your gaze right on something steady. And so, in the beginning, especially as we're starting to live in this new flow of me achieving my dreams, me acting in the wish fulfilled, I am living as though it's already done. I'm already feeling like uh, my gaze is in the right place, right? And so everything else follows from there that will send me in alignment with my ultimate dreams, my wish fulfilled. So I know without that's just the laws of physics will have me leap there. I mean, literally, quantum leaps are within the realm of the laws of physics, within like we can prove them to be true in physics. Well, anyway, when you've mastered that, right? Mastered your gaze on something steady, then you can start to, you see that your body is in alignment. And we talked before on the same call about like when I have this down, then I'm able to kind of move on to what's next. So I've got my balance in this tree pose. I've mastered this pose and I got it. It's full integrity. My hips are level. Everything's aligned. And I'm not falling out of my pose, even if I were to move my gaze. Right. And I can hold my tree pose and look around the room, even turn my head, and everything else is still supporting the integrity of the other posture as maybe my mind starts to look out for, well, what's my next challenge? What else can I do? Right? What more can I have? So then we can close our eyes and challenge our balance. Then we can close our eyes and see if we can still hold the posture and not fall out of it. That's something, right? That's a new level of stillness and trust in yourself to balance in this pose and not fall out of it with eyes closed, right? So absolutely try that out. And then so in that same idea, it's like if I move my gaze, if I've mastered like having my body respond to this alignment and I start to kind of look at something else and move to the next level, then I get deeper into the pose, right? Then I start to move into challenging, a new gaze, something that's moving, and I'm challenging my posture, even though I'm looking at something that's not as steady, moving, and it's uncertain. I'm not really sure where it's going, but it's not affecting how I'm holding my body in position, right? I'm still able to be here, planted firm on the ground in my truth, while I look at other people, and then I can come back. This is life. It's such a metaphor for life that we hold our gaze at first just to make sure the rest of the body's on board. It's this mind and body connection. And then as we start to venture out to what's next, we can start to look out, right? And we can start to deepen the pose because we're looking somewhere new, and maybe that brings on a new posture of the tree, right? It brings out maybe the next posture. You move into an inversion, right? And so notice how your gaze moves and brings the rest of the body with it. So from tree, we go to an arm balance. Well, when kind of testing ourselves as we move to the next thing, if we don't ever lose sight of where we came from, right? That balance, that trust, that steadfastness, that faith, that we just mastered tree pose. And now it's the next thing. It's kind of this continuity, this evolution, this beautiful organic um, uh, progression into what's next. It doesn't feel jarring. It doesn't break bones. It doesn't, you don't fall out of your posture. You can, right, as you're learning, but you come back to what you've mastered, what you got on lock before you move to the next thing. Um, so I love that analogy because when we've got our gaze on our vision, right? Our ultimate dreams come true, and we don't lose sight. We don't waver. We don't falter. We don't question ourselves that it was it right for me to believe that. Maybe that's too big for me. Um, and we come back to no, I do. I believe in myself. I've got this down. Look what I've accomplished so far, and from here it's only up. Then we won't fall out, right? We won't fall too far from the path that we're on to get us to our dreams come true. So it's all about righting our gaze to what brings us into alignment. Righting your gaze, because what's right for you is not necessarily right for anybody else. And so they might be doing something completely different and holding their tree pose, and whatever works for them, great. But what works for you, right, is this particular gaze. What gets your body into alignment is this particular gaze. What has you steadfast in who you are and trusting who you are, and from there taking it forward, it is yours. Is something to admire about yourself, that you are completely unique in that way. And so your yoga looks different from someone else's yoga, and that's a beautiful thing. The way your shape looks in this pose is going to be different from the shape that is made with this person's body, and that's a beautiful thing. And so there is no need for competition, just right then and there, right? We're not competing with the person on their mat next to us. We are just maybe advancing our posture, advancing our practice, to be more within ourselves, more steadfast on our goals and on our path, and more sure of ourselves that God is here, and together we can do this. We can practice this, right? So anyway, I hope that was encouraging, uh, and yeah, I hope that it maybe gave you something new to think about with manifestation and money, and how it's all energy, and how it really does start from within and work its way out. If this video served you and you want to be on notice for the next one, make sure to like and subscribe, so the algorithm knows that you like it, that I know that it's serving you. That would really make my day. And so, yeah, we definitely want to get this message out to more people. And the more, likes that the video has, work the system, then, it gets out there to more people. And that would be lovely. So, subscribe. If you're still with me, still watching, please like this video as a free way to support the channel, support what we're doing over here. And I'll see you next week. So clarityhotline.com to submit your question for next week. And then also, if you're interested in just getting on a call with me, I will put a couple links below where you can access some time with me. All right. Okay, peace. See you next week.